If you align with a nonprofit or if you raise money for a cause, turn that into a business article, turn that into your social media, and tip the media because they will probably cover it. And it's win, win, win. The journalist gets a great story. The recipient gets a bunch of money they could probably use. And your company looks like gold because you are helping the community out.
Hello, thank you so much for joining Evolve Your Brand podcast. I am your host, Olia Merkes, and I just want to give a huge shout out, as always, to Icon Industries. If you want to become an icon, you know where to come. Shane times 3. I don't know why you did that, but you did. Steven, my number one nemesis. So I haven't shared this with our guest. So do you want to hear the story about my nemesis, Steven Porter?
It's Icon Industries co-founder and chief nerd, Steven Porter!
Absolutely.
Any embarrassing fucking thing I say will be the opening to your episode. Any embarrassing that you say will get cut out and edited. Thank you, Steven. I love you. And that's why you're the chief nerd. And then all the other staff at Icon, you're incredible. We appreciate you. And today, I'm very, very excited. This is the first expert that we've had in the public relations space, Dr. Rob Garcia. Thank you so much for joining us. And your resume is pretty thick, so I say let's go through it as we introduce people so we could jump into this. How in the world did you end up in San Diego? Where did Rob's journey begin?
So I grew up in a small logging town in Humboldt County called Eureka.
Okay.
And it's like a Stephen King novel. It's like walking back into 1992. It's just tweakers and trees and pot growers and crazy stuff. And I did not have a good family. So I had a severe learning disability, just ADD really, really bad. I failed out of high school. And then in my childhood, I moved 16 times. So I was always on the move. And as a kid, you don't understand like the dysfunction and what's going on around you when your family's using drugs a lot and going to jail and all this crazy stuff. So I had a lot of trouble in school focusing, and then I failed out of the first college I went to, and then I moved to Phoenix, and I failed out of college there too. So I'm a high school dropout and a 2-time college dropout. I visited San Diego for about 5 days on vacation. I stayed with my friend at SDSU at the SAE house, and I had the best week of my life, and I said, I'm coming back here. This city's amazing. So that planted the seed.
San Diego fraternities. Don't you love them? I was in a San Diego fraternity. I get it.
I didn't know life could be like that. It was constant parties. It was going to moondoggies. It was going to like all
moondoggies. Wow.
Yeah, taking you back.
Right? You're taking me back.
Yeah, yeah. So real historical. We're getting the DeLorean. But it was just such an unbelievable experience. We experienced everything. We went to a game at Qualcomm and we were in PB and stuff. And I was getting into every bar. I was 19, and this was 1997, I think. But it when something gets inside your soul, you do whatever it takes to get there. And so I joined the Air Force, and my goal was to get stationed in San Diego, but unfortunately there aren't any bases here that are Air Force.
How dare they?
Yeah.
How dare they?
So I got sent to Louisiana. So I went there for 5 years, and it was cool, early 20s, and I got to party a little bit and hang out with friends. But most importantly, the Air Force was the first time I had structure. The Air Force was the first time I had food. The Air Force was the first time I had like discipline and leadership and could actually make something of myself. And all I did was buckle down, and I went to school, and I volunteered for like muscular dystrophy camps, Shriners Hospital. Like I was doing all kinds of stuff in the community, and I was really finding out what it was like to like represent the Air Force. And when my enlistment was up, I'd finished my bachelor's, 2 associates, and a minor. So that was my start in education. And I was just trying to better myself. I applied to the FBI and got turned down because of my math scores in officer school, and I got turned down. I get out of the Air Force, moved to San Diego to a friend's couch. This is 2002. And then I'm towing trucks because I cannot get a job. Career transition was abysmal at the time. And even with a secret clearance, and I was like a bomber avionics tech, all this stuff. If I'd have known now what I knew, I would have been okay. But back then, I was a dumb 26-year-old kid. So I hopped around doing odd jobs, but the smart thing that I did was I used the GI Bill at the time, and I got my master's degree as fast as I freaking could. So once that was done, I somehow talked my way into an high school engineering teacher job at Morse, which is in Southeast San Diego, or I like to call it like, Southeast Vietnam.
Right.
So I taught there for 5 years. I've never passed pre-algebra, right? Here I am teaching engineering to gifted high school students. So I had to learn quick and be on my feet. And about my 4th or 5th year, I decided I need to push myself. So I joined the reserves and I enrolled in the doctoral program. So I enrolled at like 30.
This was 2007?
This was 2009.
Okay.
Ish. And so my thinking was that, hey, if I'm going to teach these kids, tell them to write papers, I'm going to show them that I can go to school too, and that I'm going to take on a burden that's much, much harder so I can inspire them. And so I just pushed through my doctorate, and I joined the reserves, and I just started getting on the entrepreneurial path. And then I was let go from my teaching job because of funding, and I did some goofy jobs for a while. And then I became a technical writer, which is the most random thing ever. You just make technical documents, and I worked for a couple of major companies in San Diego, and they were great to learn from. But I got to that point where I realized I'm not made for a cubicle. First of all, I am ADD as shit. I have trouble focusing. Like, I am my own boss, and I don't always respect the people I work with because they complain a lot. And I just had that entrepreneurial bug where, like, hey, I can do something and I can do it better. And I want to be self-made. So fast forward a little bit, I finished the PhD. I'm doing these goofy tech writing jobs back and forth. And I finally moved to North Park. And that's when the entrepreneur bug hit me. And that I went through what a lot of entrepreneurs go through in the early years. We have to find our brand identity because I didn't have it. I can't just put out a company that says, hey, hire me, I have a PhD, I'm a smart guy. That's ridiculous. And so for like about a year or two, I didn't have any direction. I was really angry, and I was just trying to figure out, and my branding, God, it was awful. Primary colors and just me angry at the camera and all this shit. And so it took a little while. And around that time, I thought, what if Tim Ferriss made a magazine? And I made a magazine devoted to the art of learning and interviewing top performers. And so I just created Shift Advanced Life Design magazine. And so I started a magazine, and then I started telling my story, and podcasting had just come out. So I started telling my story on these new things, these new podcasts, and everyone wanted to interview me because it was a crazy story about going from high school dropout to PhD. Like, that was the main thing. And so after I got like 20 interviews, I got kind of confident at it. And I started teaching other people. I'm like, hey, this is what you do to apply to a podcast. You develop your angle. You promote the show after it's done. Like, you do this stuff. You speak, eloquently, blah, blah, blah. And I taught people. I started like a little course on how to get media interviews. And then from then on, it grew. I figured out that I was going to be Rob the Warrior Strategist, because that likens back to the military planning and execution, which is why if you've ever seen my logo, it's crossed rifles and a chess piece. And the chess piece is the planning, the crossed rifles are the execution. It means that most entrepreneurs should have a day of strategy, 5 days of work, 1 day off. And once I was Rob the Warrior Strategist, I had to refine my brand identity further. And I had to figure out, okay, who am I? Like, what am I teaching here? I can't just be a general business consultant with zero experience, So I started getting even more and more interviews. It started just getting stupid after a while. And I broke the 100 interview mark. Like, today, this is probably my 237th interview. It's nuts.
On a podcast?
All of them.
That's incredible.
I've been on Fox News. I've been in magazines, been in LA radio. I'm a couple pages of Google. I'm very grateful. Thank you. It's just been unreal. And I'm telling you, 95% of those interviews are about going from being a high school dropout to a PhD. And they don't give a shit what I do. They don't give a shit about like any other parts of it, really. It's just kind of the struggle and like how I went from this to this. And the importance of that is that tells about the essential nature of developing your media angle. And we'll get into that a little bit in the future. But so anyway, fast forward. I wrote some books. Go ahead.
Rob, I have a question for you. So you said the angle that, most of these interviews, they just want to know about that and not the rest of anything else. What do you think about that? about that strategy when you have someone on that you're interviewing as a guest? What is the right strategy as a PR expert?
If you've got something that works, I say run with it. It's like Bert Kreischer's machine story. Like the only reason people really like Bert Kreischer in every single show, tell the machine story. It works for him. He has a movie out about being the machine. And even if you get tired of it, if it's what people want, if it entertains, if it creates value, if it inspires, I say run with it. Don't change. And if that's the main thing people take value from in my story, because there's so much more, but if that's what it is, then I'll keep telling it.
Incredible. Yeah, because I think the fascinating part for me, which I'm intrigued by today, is how has that shaped you to who you are, and what your future holds for your brand? Because you're the first person that I've had on here that said, hey, I struggled, like you're really candid. I struggled with my branding. I got angry, and I think those are the struggles that aren't talked about as much. Because it's not, you see social media and everyone's showing you their very best.
Right.
They're not showing you their very worst. I want to see people's best and worst. Like, hey, I'm a fucking real person. And yeah, I don't want to do this today either. I don't want to be on video, but I understand like it's not about me. It's about my audience.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
The best message you can ever get as a public media figure is thank you. I needed this today. And I've heard that so many times, and it makes me happy every single time because we don't always wake up and be in our zone. We don't always have that energy to be a public figure. We don't always have that energy to show up and be in our best self. But we show up. We get up. We do what we need to do because it's not about us, like you said. That's very smart. It's about that person, that single mom in Chula Vista who's working her ass off to feed her kid. And she needs an inspirational message. She needs a story that's going to pump her up to work on her jewelry business. It's about that college student whose parents always doubted him, and he knows that he can do more in life, and he wants to, start a detailing business for cars or something. They need these stories, and they need us to show up.
ROI, return on impact.
Yeah,
return on impact. Like that. That's we were talking about like branding and shirts. And I want the ROI, like every guest that comes on here, I want them to have a ROI shirt, which is return on impact. Like, I think that's become my core value now. How do I wake up, message my kids, love you guys, do something hard today, and then fucking go after it. So I appreciate your approach towards entrepreneurship. It has a lot to do with this.
Thank you. I'm very different because the funniest part is that I tell people I'm a visibility strategist. I'm not even a PR guy. I use PR as a tool.
Right.
I am different from everybody. I'm not a digital marketer. I'm not a PR guy. I'm not I say sometimes I run an agency, which I do, but really what I do is completely different from everyone else because a lot of PR peoples are so niched down that they're either just doing press releases or they're just doing magazine and media outreach. I have a magazine, I do press releases, I write business articles, I do social media coaching. Like when people work with me, they get like this entire portfolio of services that blows their mind.
Right. It's the value. And how come it's important to you to provide so much value to the people you serve?
Well, I hear so many stories about PR people that are bad at it, that didn't provide any results, or they took their money and just kind of just dead in the water, like didn't do anything. I've had so many people come to me and they said, hey, I hired a PR person, or I hired a digital marketer, and I didn't get anything from it, like absolutely nothing. And I'm like, well, wasn't me, because I have, and my pitch book is very full of client results. I ran out of space because I had all these photographs of people. I've gotten 14 people on TV, like all these crazy stats.
Results matter.
Results matter at the end of the day. That's all. That's what people pay you for. They don't pay you for your actions. They don't pay you for those 17 pitches that didn't go anywhere. They pay you for results.
Yeah, it's fascinating that you bring that up. One of the things that I think about with real estate, I love real estate when I got into it because I thought that a majority of us did things for the right reasons. Then I realized that's not reality in my space. It's only 10% of people do it to make an impact on others. Because I look at real estate like as a life-changing moment in people's lives. In California, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he talks about your primary residence, your main home, where you raise your family and stuff is a liability. In California, because of a supply issue, it's not. It's an asset, in a sense, because equity goes up so high. So I'm like, look at the industry I'm in, the impact that we can make. And in my opinion, not everyone does things for the right reasons.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
So instead of complaining about it, which I did I would say for a few months, now I'm like, fuck that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out there, my brand, my rebranding. That's why I love what you're saying, because you're like, I don't want to be sold. And that's all marketing companies do. They just want to fucking sell you.
Yeah.
I don't get it. So what do you not like about your industry that you're the impact of change?
So we all have the ability to impact our industry, and I would love to be an ambassador for PR people,
Okay,
and visibility. In the sense that I want to, I want to get to a level like King Amanpour, right? Everybody knows King Amanpour because he's got this, first of all, this amazing story. He's a brilliant dude. He's on every billboard, but he's successful because he actually changed his industry. Like he actually can influence his industry, right? That's who I want to be. I want to be like, hey, this is how you should write press release. This is how you should write to journalists, right? Stop writing shitty pitches to reporters. Stop putting yourself and your needs in this pitch. Like really think about the value to audience. That's what I always stress. Those 3 words, value to audience. Put yourself in the reporter's shoes. They have 700 pitches a day. You really think that if you write to them like, hey, I'm a veteran-owned business, put me on TV, that's going to be like meaningful enough for them to care? No, you're just adding an extra email for the spam box. So if you talk about what I don't like about my industry, people that are lazy, people that lie about their results, people that promise the world to clients and don't deliver. And that's one thing I had to work on, because at this point in the game, I've been around long enough to where I know cause and effect. I know reasonably the chances of getting someone on TV. I know reasonably the chances of getting them in a magazine. What will happen when we work together, because PR and marketing are fluid. The results are different for every single client. And that's what clients have to know. When you're hiring a PR and a marketing person, first of all, you have to do your due diligence. You have to research them. You have to type their name and the word scam in Google, see if anything pops up, read the reviews. And then if they don't have a pitch deck with client results, or they can't set you up with somebody to talk to that they've worked with, run. So I'll tell you right now, the last 4 people I worked with.
That was beautiful. And this is how come I think it's beautiful. You're encouraging your potential people that you're going to serve to go and actually educate themselves on how to pick the right person in your industry. Do you know the level of confidence that you have to have that you're doing things differently to do that? That's amazing.
Some people are going to be very bothered by that, and they shouldn't be in the business. That's the way I look at it. I have nothing to hide.
Transparency. Okay, so how come transparency is so important for you?
Because I've worked with all kinds of entrepreneurs throughout the years, and it is very important for integrity to still be a part of business. There's trust. Like people, when people come to me, it's because I've built this reputation. They've seen my social media, they've seen the projects I've worked on, they've seen me help 3 veterans with housing crises, like all this different stuff that I do on the side. Your reputation is integral to the growth of your business. If you only have one chance to earn trust with people.
Yeah.
And once that's gone, you're done. Ty Lopez, done. Because he's just done all this shady stuff for years and years and years. There's just the longest running grift ever that should have gotten him thrown in jail.
It's interesting. And that's, I guess at the end of the day, the reason how come we're so protective about this podcast and the guests that we bring on is we want to advocate for quality people. That do things for the right reasons and are really going above and beyond to impact their community. Having young men right now, I think that's huge. What's your take when it comes to PR, branding, and then how people really, really find their goal for making an impact on their community?
It's important for business owners and entrepreneurs to make sure that they are doing things for the community, because a lot of times they get too wrapped up in their own business, whereas they forget, hey, I have the ability to change things around me. I have the ability to do a fundraiser for somebody. I have the ability to donate to groups. One of my clients, Mike Rannigan from Doc's Roofing, he recently, we did a article about him because he donated $60,000 to veterans charities. And I was just amazed. He listed out the charities. He's a great guy. He's a hospital. He was a Navy corpsman turned roofing pro in North Texas. And that's the type of stuff you want to do for the community. You know, I've probably done 4 or 5 major projects where I've done like fundraisers for veterans or help people. I got 5 vets together. I made some offer. They all bought in. It was like PR related. And then we donated 100% to Brian Conwell, who's a para athlete who is in the wheelchair games. And we funded his tour. It's those things. And what's great is it creates this ripple effect. And I'm going to give people watching this a really good PR tip. If you align with a nonprofit or if you raise money for a cause, turn that into a business article, turn that into your social media and tip the media because they will probably cover it. And it's win, win, win. The journalist gets a great story. The recipient gets a bunch of money they could probably use. And your company looks like gold because you are helping the community out.
That's it's interesting that you bring up little tips like that serve. I mean, it's a win-win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
And so what are your thoughts about entrepreneurship and interacting with people that are in win-lose? Like, how do you handle that? When someone comes to you and says, Rob, I want you to work with me and what did you call it? You say you don't do PR, you do
visibility
strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's dig into that because I meant to come back to that. Visibility strategy. How come you're not public relations? Because I don't consider myself a loan officer. I'm not a mortgage originator. Yeah. I'm a mortgage advisor. Yeah. So how come you say visualization strategist?
Visibility strategist.
Yeah.
So first of all, PR stands for public relations, which means reputation management, right?
Ooh,
that is an element, but that's more for PR agents in Hollywood.
Right.
If you get an actor or an actress, your job is to make sure when they get a DUI, that they look okay, that the statement is issued and all this stuff, right? I don't do reputation management.
Okay.
And so when I hear the word PR, that's the first thing I think of.
Got it.
That's why I differentiate myself because I offer visibility services. My tagline is I take experts and turn them into highly visible industry celebrities. And that wording is very specific. I don't turn them into Hollywood celebrities. I turn them into industry celebrities. So for example, Brandy Rector, she runs the only female, she's a former Marine, only female hog hunting company in the country. And I got her into a helicopter magazine because what we did, and I'm going to break down a strategy. She comes to me, she's got this great company and she's in Oklahoma. And so what we did was we broke down her niche, which is hunting helicopters. So guess what? I can send her story to both types of magazines. And so the hunting magazines got back to us and were like, yeah, we love this. And the helicopter magazines featured her immediately. And now, because I'm a visibility strategist, I go on Reddit, I post about Brandy, and in one day she has 50,000 views about her helicopter company in the helicopter Reddit because I think of these alternative strategies to get people visibility.
Did you come up with that strategy as far as getting her in the helicopter magazine?
Hmm?
Nice.
Yeah. Industry celebrity, right? Nice. So we break down. We're like, hey, what do industry celebrities look like? Judge Judy, Cesar Millan, or Dr. Phil. Like what we do is we do this reverse breakdown because you can submit people to the general industry, which is business, like Fortune, entrepreneur.
Oh, got it.
You go general.
Yeah.
But when you niche down, it becomes so easy.
Let's go.
Because like I said, reverse engineer the client's niche, and then you can find these specialty magazines and podcasts, everything.
Rob, I'm fucking really enjoying having you on here because it's, like I said, I've been wrapping my arm around because what I'm an expert in is finance. Mm-hmm. It's not social media. It's not marketing. It's not visibility strategist. What blows me away is the niching down. Yeah. Because at first I'm like, when I first started in real estate, it blew my mind because I was trying to go after everyone.
Mhm.
What a horrible strategy.
Yeah.
Because not everyone's your audience. So now when I work with people on their brand, and it's really hard because you'll ask an entrepreneur, what's the difference between brand and marketing? And you'll be amazed at some of the answers that you get, which says to me, we're so busy working in our business, we're not taking the steps outside of it to look at how come we're doing what we're doing. How do you help entrepreneurs really fine tune what their visibility strategy is if they're all over the map?
So that's the first thing is a lot of entrepreneurs, we're going to come to the branding question here in a minute because it's important because it was like a 4-year lesson because
Ooh.
I didn't know. I was one of those guys that's like, oh, I got a logo and a website. I got a brand.
Okay.
People are like, no, fuck you don't. So if somebody's all over the place, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what's your angle? And there's pretty much 7 angles that we can approach that are universal. And this is what we base our pitches on, our media pitches, our articles, everything. So, and I'm going client level, man, because I'm really enjoying this interview. This is stuff I usually sell. So the most prolific media angles for any business owner or entrepreneur, the first one is going to be life experience. So that's how I got all my interviews, was I had a crazy life experience, whether good, bad, whatever. Life experience is one of them. Live demo is another. So let's say you go in the news and you teach tango or martial arts or you cook something. You wrote a book, so you have props, whatever. So live demo is another one. Result. So let's say you started a business and 6 months later you hit 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever. That's a result. Achievement. So that's writing a book. That is starting a daycare. That is doing something that is significant. You won an award, whatever. Subject matter expert. It's a really good one, which means you go on and you're just brought in because you're an expert on some topic. Current events. So if they'll bring you in and it's almost like subject matter expert, but you're going to talk about a specific event. You're going to give your analysis on, the stuff with Hamas, whatever. You're going to come in and you're going to talk about something that you're really, really good at. So anyway, we figure out which angle is the most appropriate, which one's the most interesting. And then I write a media pitch and I craft that and I send it out to reporters, bloggers, magazines, whatever. And I have a specific format I use that gets me a pretty good amount of opens, but start with the angle. So if somebody's all over the place, I'm going to sit them down. I'm going to say, okay, what's the most interesting thing about your business? What have you done? Have you won any awards? Have you raised money for anybody? Are you a single mom that got to 6 figures and blah, blah, blah? You slept in your car, you're homeless, whatever. Because sometimes it's the personal story, like Richard Kaufman, legally blind veteran who just hit 1 million views on his podcast, right? Just interviewed him. That's a life experience,
Right?
A hell of one, but it's also achievement. So my job is to be a storyteller and to craft the narrative that is interesting to the audience. And that's the part I love, the creative aspect of it. Like Donald Miller says, build your story brand. I read that book and I was like, holy shit, he's speaking my language, because he broke it down to like Star Wars, like how they, went through the whole process of Star Wars and everything. And I'm like, that's what I do. I figure out somebody's angle. I figure out what would make them interesting, compelling, like what makes it a must watch, like a must see. And then once I have this narrative, once I have this pitch, I can make this person a rock star.
Let's go. Holy shit.
You want to hear a case
I got
study?
I got a little emotional right now because I do want to hear a case study. I have a follow-up question
Sure.
that I think is really important. So I was sharing with you, we have like 752 people in common on Facebook. And I think what's significant about that is a lot of them were in real estate. So there's a lot of recycled. You said you were going to go to branding. Okay. You were going to talk about branding.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of recycled content that has no personal authenticity to it. What advice would you have for people that are replicating? I mean, replication, we all copycat things.
Reinvent.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
But when you see people that are doing the same exact thing and they don't add any of their personal brand whatsoever, what's going to happen? What does your future look like? Give me the visibility strategist point of view on what's going to happen to me in 3 years.
You're going to fight very hard for sales. So first of all, oversaturated industries, this is where they bring me in. So if you're a fitness trainer, if you're a real estate agent, if you're just fighting in the water with all those other sharks, right? My job is to teach you how to stand out And just going on Facebook and popping, hey, this is my house listing, call me. That's, it's not 1982. So how do I make you a rock star? How do I make you stand out?
You don't want to see my kitchen? It's got cabinets and a fridge. Some of the funniest shit I saw, I'm going to have to introduce you to this guy, content. He's like, if lenders were real estate agents. And he's like, here's a fucking floor. You walk on it. I'm like, damn. Oh, I was dying.
Yeah.
That was the funniest shit I've ever heard. I'm like, what if a mortgage advisor showed homes? I'm really glad that you say that, because I think right now, San Diego to me has some of the best brands in real estate. It's very competitive, extremely competitive. And everyone understands the value of video content. Okay. I think what a great way, the way I look at it is, before, you've been in the space for a long time. If you wanted to record a commercial, okay, 10 years ago, how much would one 30-second commercial cost?
I know it'd be thousands. It'd be a lot of freaking money.
Right.
To get the whole crew in, the equipment, all stuff. And then you have the camera that's like this big,
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Editing.
So the way I look at it, I'm like, an hour podcast, the way they have it here, you're literally spending maybe $1,000, maybe, and you're getting 10 pieces of shorts. You're getting a full episode. I'm like, it's a no-brainer. Why would you not do these things where you get your message out, people hear it directly from the source, and they get an opportunity to connect? So what do you think the value of content creation is? You said you're a creator. What is the value to an entrepreneur of authentic value content creation?
It's what's going to attract people to you.
Okay.
Right. So I strategize my content. Every piece of content I make has a reason. There's nothing, and this is where people get it messed up.
Give it to me.
So most people get up and they're just reactive. They're not proactive. They get on, they're angry. They write about Trump or something they saw on Fox News, or they just complain about, the chicken place down the street, whatever. Treat your social media like every post has a purpose. Understand why you're putting something out there, right? So if I put something out there that's personal, it's to attract people and it's to connect. It's to speak to them. I talk about some horrible experiences from my childhood, growing up with a parent that was on drugs, going to school in moldy clothes, like just all this awful shit that I went through. What it's like feeling like the stupidest kid in class because my report card in 9th grade is all D's and F's, like just all this stuff, because people relate to it, especially if they have kids with autism or on the spectrum or learning disorders, whatever. It helps people to relate to you. It humanizes you. So that's the first thing, is to tell personal stories, and don't shy away from it, because people will actually not judge you. They will see you as a person. So that's the first thing. If you want to make really strong content, and it's okay to go on and be emotional sometimes. And like, hey, I had a shit month and it was just very challenging going through this, blah, blah, blah. But on the other hand, don't use it as your platform to castigate others and to vent, because there's nothing more unappealing than some woman getting on Facebook and bitching about her ex-husband and what a piece of shit he is, and he's not paying his child support and all. They put some real personal stuff on there. I'm like, that's between you guys. Don't shame somebody.
How come how come you don't recommend that? And what impact does it have on your audience?
It's super negative.
Okay.
It makes you look like you're just pointing the finger, and it also isn't fair because it doesn't give the other person a chance to, defend themselves. I always say, if you're going to complain, make it funny. Like, make a joke out of it. Make some ironic pop culture reference or something you tie into it. If you're going to, I try not to ever complain unless I'm making fun of myself or making fun of something that in a jovial way. But being a content creator, it's about balance. It's about understanding. You want your personal videos, but you'll want your teaching videos as well. And this is where entrepreneurs and business owners have gold. Teach your industry probably is the most popular thing I've ever taught with my clients, because people have all this knowledge and they don't realize they're sitting on a gold mine of content. So, like, for example, Mike Peterson, he makes Mike's Damascus knives. He's been on the History Channel, Forged in Fire on TV. He makes these beautiful knives. And I was like, Mike, start creating content where you're showing people the difference between the materials, how you pick the scale for the handles, how you set up your distribution line, why people shouldn't buy knives from Pakistan. Because he taught me something. He's like, well, when people buy them from Pakistan, it's usually from a car bumper. So it's not the greatest, this is why these knives break after 2 months and fall apart. And I'm like, oh, so you shouldn't be buying cheapy knives off Amazon. This is why your knife costs $500 and I could probably hand it and give it to my grandkid eventually and it'll still be in great shape. So everyone wants to see behind the curtain. Teacher industry is an unending source of great content. Break down what the average person doesn't know about industry. You know what I'm writing about, Oli? I write about how to make press releases. I write about I give away content. I'm like, hey, this is how you reach out to journalists.
And you do that because at the end of the day, you've worked how long on your craft and your skill set? There's no way a novice can do that. They're ultimately, what you have to do is get a fundamental understanding and then get enough results so you can hire an expert.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Blow it.
One of the most prolific things I've ever come up with, and I figured this out when I lived in North Park, is give away what and sell how.
Give away what and sell how.
So give away general information, some guidelines, but then sell how to be a practitioner at it, how to implement your consulting, whatever. Because you're right. You said something really smart. When people get this information and they try and do their own stuff, they realize, holy shit, this is really hard. And Rob can do this in 2 minutes. I'm just going to hire him because this is why people hire experts, to save time.
Yeah.
And to get a better job done faster because an expert can get it done. I told you when I walked in studio, Thanksgiving Day, I wrote a 50-page ebook from scratch about PR and got it up and running, 50 pages one day.
You said that. And did you notice what I didn't do? I didn't ask you any follow-up questions. Do you know how come? I was fucking saving them for the podcast. For you, baby. For you. Okay. That's your opening, by the way. Fuck you, Steven. Really? That's going to be the opening. I know I fucked up. I know. I had to do it. I love you. I want to give you. This is for you. What in the fuck were you thinking? What made you decide on Thanksgiving of all days? You're like, you know what I need to do today? I need to write a 50-page ebook.
Dude, I know.
Give it to me, bro. Go.
I've been sitting on this project for probably 2 years.
Okay.
I've literally got it up on my wall, tacked on a piece of paper, and it's got all the chapters. It's got
that is so hot. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And what lit the fire on your ass to do it?
My buddy canceled his Thanksgiving stuff. I don't have a family, I live alone, so I was going to my friend's house, and his family does this big Thanksgiving thing, right? But at the last second, somebody got sick, and so they couldn't have the dinner, and my buddy couldn't make it. So I was just like, okay, I'm just going to go home. And I said, all right, this is going to be a perfect day for this. And I started at 8 a.m. I think I was up at 4:30 that day, and I started at 8 a.m. to start writing. And I took a course that I had, and I reverse engineered it, and I transcribed it. And I wrote a 50-page ebook, and I got it set up so where I have a print version and I have an ebook version. So I had to kind of write two of them. And I had it done by the end of the day. By like 6 p.m., I was done. And it is a beast. It has a social media guide. It has a media pitch template. It's got like social media post examples. It's got chapters on how to interview celebrities and influencers and reach out to them. Because I've interviewed like one of the guys from Cobra Kai and one of the guys from a Fox TV show, like all these crazy people from my magazine, Delta Force, SEAL Team 6. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's go. I want to get, so Perry E is a Navy SEAL.
Okay.
And he's got a really, really cool, I got to connect you guys. He just had a baby. Congratulations to him. Incredible guy. I can't wait until I get him. He was a Navy SEAL and he does some cool shit.
That's amazing.
That's cool shit.
I in Vet Tribe, that Facebook group, Vetpreneur Tribe, some guy put out a post and he said, "Hey, I'm in San Diego. I'm a former Navy SEAL. If anyone wants to meet at Better Buzz Coffee, I'll be there in Hillcrest." Nobody showed but me. And I met this dude, and he is a Navy SEAL. His name is Jovan Quarles. He's in the like Navy SEAL Museum, because I guess he was honor man for both like his BUDS course and then like afterwards for SKT. But he just got picked up, and he's literally on Fox for World's Toughest Test, Special Forces World's Toughest Test. He's one of the co-hosts. So Fox gave him a show. and he's crushing it. He's teaching fitness stuff. He's in London right now. One of the most prolific people I've ever met. He's really into fitness. He had a bad background. We got along well.
Okay, so I talk about this all the time to Gas, and it's like I feel selfish because I get to learn so much in this seat. I fucking love it. Make that the scene. So when you get to interact, what's his name again?
Javon Quarles.
Javon.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get to interact with Javon, what do you learn? What do you take away from these interactions? Like, it's got to blow your mind, man. Like, you met him at Better Buzz. How cool is that?
Well, yeah, we're just sitting there. Javon's arms are like this big, first of all. We have a picture of us like arm wrestling. We were just joking. And his arm is like twice as big as mine. He's just really into fitness. He's good at it. But it's a good place for improvement.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the scariest and awesomest person I ever interviewed was Dr. Dale Comstock. And this dude, I interviewed for my magazine, and he was in Delta Force. He was a Green Beret, and then he became a mercenary for fun. So he started taking on like jobs, like going to Libya with a group of people in a plane and just doing some things. He's a bodybuilder. He's a champion martial artist, and he earned a doctorate in holistic medicine or something. I can't remember what. He wrote a great book. And he's all over like Facebook and stuff and LinkedIn, but he called me once. And I remember I was in Humboldt County. It was right after the Middle East, and my mom died during my deployment during the Middle East. It was just a crazy time. And so I went back home with family, and I remember I was driving, and it said Dale Comstock, and I'd never talked to this dude, right? It'd been all email. I almost hit a bush taking that call.
Like,
right?
you were
just the lightning bolt. I was like, oh shit. And I'm swerving all over the place. I'm in some stupid road in Arcata, and I'm like, oh shit. And I just pulled over the side of the road in some country road next to some fucking barn. I'm like, hey, Dr. Comstock, what's going on? And I'm telling you, if you get a chance to learn business shit and life shit from a member of Delta Force, fucking do it.
Right.
I don't care if you got to give up shit. You fucking do it.
Yeah.
That was the best phone call maybe of my life. And because of somebody that just has that, he invaded Grenada. Right. He had all this experience.
Yeah.
Like, he's just done all this crazy shit, and he has this wild life.
That fucking resume that you were mouthing off. I'm like, holy shit. Give me one story on the call. Like, one thing from that call that you remember that's just like vivid.
I just remember him talking about the importance of turning your energy into results. Because that's what he teaches. He does coaching, and he teaches people the art of it. He's got a fancy word for it. I can never remember it, but he really talks about the metaphysical aspect of it, of turning your energy and your soul and your being into desire, and then turning that into these crazy results. Because he's achieved so much. He was in a reality show too, and he's achieved so much in his life. I don't know why he's not at a Jocko Willink level where people are hiring him to really teach mindset and discipline. This is one of the most, he's a patriot. He loves this country. His book is incredible. And just, he was a solid dude on the phone, but just taking that call changed my life.
How old were you?
This is a couple of years ago, like 5 years ago. So,
oh, really?
So
okay.
48 now. So I was probably like 43.
Man, you look way better. I just turned 47. I get it. We look much, dude, we're vibrant. We're going to go running.
Yeah.
We're going to go running. I want to do that. Yeah. I'm all about it.
Running, hydration,
dude,
man.
The other day I went running with my fucking 13-year-old. It was hilarious because I laughed at him, and I'm terrible right now. I took like a few months off from running. I'm so excited to get back to it. Yeah. Running is gold when it comes to cardio, man.
Where do you run at?
Just around my, I live in San Marcos area.
Okay.
So I'll usually go to Discovery Lake and just run around the lake.
Yeah.
I love being outdoors, man.
Yeah.
That's my zone.
Yeah, I got back into beach running because November was so hard. I just turned back to beach runs, and they're miserable and they're cold and they're wet. And I jump in the ocean in the morning.
Okay, yeah. So
awesome.
I go into the sauna and do the cold plunge. We're going off on a tangent. Enjoy this. So my buddy Eric Gilman, the sharpest guy you know, I'm actually going to go see him at a comedy show tonight. And the funny thing is, like, he'll come over, we'll go to the sauna, and it's early in the morning. The water's gotten cold. Yeah. And the other day I jumped in. And I'm like, dude, as soon as I hit the water, because there's no thinking about it. I'm like, dude, there's no thinking about it. My whole entire thing went numb. I'm like, And I love that. So the newest thing I heard with the cold plunge, like if you're in a swimming pool, you can't stand still because that's cheating. You got to move around and shit. So your body's just, I love it.
I got
get
into
it.
cold showers like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I take 2 hot showers a year, if that.
Oh, really? So you're doing all your showers cold?
I take cold showers. I took a cold shower this morning before I went running and jumping in the ocean. I took a cold shower afterwards. I didn't feel my fingertips for like an hour.
Okay, I'm in. Great. I'm gonna try that. I'll let you know how it goes. But this cold plunge thing, especially, at 47, I'm like, boom.
I've done a polar bear plunge January 1st. Let's do that.
Oh, really?
La Jolla. Yeah. Everybody just runs in the water. They're crazy. And,
let's
and
go.
Screaming like they're getting murdered. I was just standing there laughing because,
Okay, so talking about mindset, I think it's a great lead in. So when I jump into that water, my natural instinct is get the fuck out of this. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I tell myself, I'm no longer going to talk to myself this way. This is not painful. I'm very uncomfortable right now. And hard things happen when you do hard things.
Yeah.
So that's the message is going in. And it's funny because it's early in the morning. People were walking by looking at me like I'm fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's cold as shit. Everyone's wearing sweaters. They're all bundled up. I'm jumping in the pool and talking out loud to myself.
Yeah.
Sound familiar?
The first year of doing cold showers, I was cussing and screaming.
Nice.
I was yelling like I was being murdered.
Okay. All right.
I get used to it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. When you talk about like, I've enjoyed this so much because like I've gotten to know Rob.
Yeah.
When we've been here, how many minutes? Don't even look at the clock. How many minutes do you think we've been talking?
Yeah, 30.
Okay, we're at like 58. So where can you go where you spend 58 minutes connecting with someone and you're like, dude, all right. Oh yeah. I love it.
That's your skills as an interviewer though.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Like it's easy to interview someone that's so open and transparent and vulnerable. Like your 6 tips, wrote every single one of them down. Like that's gold right there. You're the kind of authentic person that if I wanted to start, and you got to start small before you can go big. Like, is everyone going to be, if you're starting as an entrepreneur, can you afford you? Initially, how would you get to the level where you can afford you? Yes. What would the first thing be that I need to do as I get into the entrepreneur space?
So I designed a stacked system for entrepreneurs at all levels. So my one-on-one is $4,500. Not everyone can afford that, which is fine. I would start with my ebook, and then I have a membership group for $150 a month where they get to actually create a PR plan with me. They have access to all my resources, and I will guide them, and I'll create their angle with them. And what's crazy about the membership group is that every 3 months, I modeled this after credit card companies. Every 3 months, they earn a reward. They earn a free PR reward. So they might get something that would cost like $500, like an article or a press release or something.
Oh, cool.
And they stack. So
that's
over
a sweet
time,
value add.
Yeah, over time, like every 3 months, they're going to get something better. And then over time, they're getting thousands in PR services. After 2 years, I'll give them the cover of my magazine. Like it's just, I have it all mapped out. They're just working up a ladder, and it's loyalty. It's a loyalty reward.
How come? You already know you're giving very, very different value because you're conveying results versus, hey, let me sell you the hype.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to buy hype, because at the end of the day, like it's gonna, like you get old, people aren't stupid. Like that's why
they're still falling for it. They're still falling for the Lambos.
I know, it's shocking.
The chunks of cash, all this stupid stuff.
It's shocking to me. I'm like,
desperation.
Dude, I don't get it. Like, and it's not a judgment thing. I'm like, there's so many quality people out there. If you listen to someone, like what I took away from you, do you know what the one thing that stood out to me on how come I want to advocate for you? You said, go research your competition. Go compare me to the competition. Go interview me versus other people and see what the difference is. That's bold. How many people in your industry do that? Out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I just have nothing to hide, and I know that if somebody looks me up or asks for my pitch deck, I have 3 pages of people saying hire this guy immediately. And if you're good at something, the word spreads.
Yeah, and where is Dr. Rob? Where are you taking? We're going to talk about brand and marketing, so I want to spend a few minutes on that. What's the difference? Like, what's the difference between brand and marketing for you?
So branding is the culture and the personality of your company. And a good brand, if you think about classical brands throughout time, like the really big ones, Microsoft, McDonald's, Nike, okay, for example, Apple, not only do they have people that are obsessively compelled to shop from them, but you understand what they're about, what their values are, what kind of people, they want to associate with. So when you're building a brand, you're building the personality of your company, the culture, and a certain type of person that respects that brand. Now, marketing, and this is some of my content that I've been spending time on, is educating people about marketing and PR, the difference. Marketing is outbound efforts to sell a product or a service. And it can be email marketing, it can be digital marketing, it could be in the newspaper, going around, in the neighborhood. It could be cold calling. Marketing is just outbound effort to sell something for the company. PR is outbound contact with external media to get coverage. And that falls under a lot of things. That could be newspapers, TVs, reporters, journalists, bloggers, YouTubers. There's, everything, radio. And this is something I've really been going off on a tear on LinkedIn. I've been really passionate about it. I just wrote a thing about it the other day is, hey, should your marketing team be doing your PR? And the answer is no, unless they have the skills, and actually put a little checklist. I'm like, hey, if you gave your marketing team, you brought them in the CEO's office and you're like, hey, we're going to cut some costs. You guys are doing our PR now. And they don't know how to do it. You're essentially just putting someone with no skills and you're going to get terrible results.
Yeah.
Because PR is a skill. Okay. Learning to write a media pitch, learning to connect with journalists, tracking where your pitches are going, creating a database, creating original content and angles for your company, creating PR, like we talked about, pairing up with a nonprofit or doing a donation or an event or something like that. Like that is the creation of organic PR. A marketing person does not know how to do this stuff usually, unless they've gone to school or had some classes or something. Can they learn? Yes. I'm self-taught. I bought 3 books off Amazon and I learned through trial and error over the years, and I taught myself these skills.
What are the 3 books?
That all of them were about just PR tactics and then press release templates. Okay. Like what a good press release is. Because I had to learn.
Yeah. And you also had to earn your connections too in your space.
Oh, yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how many people, and I'm sure this happens in the mortgage industry, you'd be surprised how many people will reach out and like, hey, can I have a list of your contacts? Can I have a list of the journalists that you work with? And I'm like, yeah, where do you want the invoice? Because that's going to cost like $10,000.
Right.
Because these are people I've built trust with. And actually, that's an arbitrary number. I'll never fucking give up my prospects or my journos or anybody that I work with, because people want the shortcuts. And they don't want to put in the work, and they just want you to hand something that they're probably not going to use correctly anyway.
Right. And here's the other thing I think with reputation, like you earn that reputation, reputation can't be handed over to anyone else.
Right.
It's a lesson sometimes I've learned the hard way. Like, great, awesome. That's that person's reputation, not yours. I go into every relationship with earning the relationship every day. When you have that, I think, as your core value. Who's someone you want to thank? Like someone that really, really stands out that's made an impact on Rob in life?
There's so many, man.
Name as many as you want, buddy.
Yeah. Right off the bat, Mike Ranigan from Doc's Roofing, because he's been not only a client, but a friend. Like he's a guy that is very, very successful, multi-7-figure business, but takes the time to just check in and say, hey, how's Rob? Like I love people like that. Mike Ranigan is just been a significant inspiration in my life. Rich Kaufman, obviously, for never giving up. This is a guy who like got out of the army, was like a homeless drug addict living in his car, and he got clean and he started this amazing podcast, Vertical Momentum. My best friend JD, who keeps me honest, he's a plumber, and from Claremont. We grew up skateboarding together. And what's crazy is JD is not in the entrepreneurial space. He's a business owner, and he asks me questions that keep me honest. Like he will ask questions that are designed to have weakness. Like he makes me prove it to him that what I do, he still doesn't get what I do, but he will ask the right questions that say, why would someone pay you for that? And I get to sit down and give him a logical answer. And if I can't give him that answer, I know that I'm full of shit. right? And sometimes, like in the early days, yeah, I was definitely throwing spaghetti at them. We all are, you know, we're all bullshitting and trying to figure it out, and we're all hype and shit. But those are the people that are really important. And I know I'm missing a bunch of people, but just people that show up every day, like the average entrepreneur, the person that never gives up. Like that's the person I'm grateful for, because all those stories like just keep me going.
What's the one attribute that they all have in common that you appreciate the most? Is there one that you can identify?
Resilience.
Really? It's amazing, right?
Absolutely. They keep punching. They will never fucking stop.
I had a vulnerable moment like 2 weeks ago. Actually last week, I had the worst fucking week I've had in the longest time, and it was like, you sometimes just have to fucking check yourself. Cause I looked in the mirror and I said, how am I going to make an impact on the people that I come across today with this type of weak attitude? And we all go through weakness, but I think it's those moments where you can talk out loud to yourself and you can check your shit.
Yeah.
And when you have people like that in your life, that JD, that you're like, I love you. Thank you for being real with me and not placating me.
Yeah. And he's not, I mean, he's the real deal. He's very successful, and he's like 6 years younger than me. He's my best friend. He's one of the most prolific people I've ever met. He's funny as shit. And he's got a super hot smoking girlfriend. Like he has a perfect life. But I love the fact that he asks these honest questions, not coming from a place of industry.
Right.
Because he says, well, why do people need PR? Like, why do people do this? How do you justify charging that much? And he makes me give him those answers. And I better have some fucking good answers.
Yeah.
Because he'll see through my shit. And it's been very good. It's like being grilled by Congress, honestly.
Yeah.
And you better come with some facts and some stats. All that shit.
I think that what I'm hearing from you, like I can see the smile on your face. It's actually helping you become even more of a expert and icon in your space, because it gets you to think, right?
It means I'm not a bullshit artist. You want to get rid of imposter syndrome, get somebody like JD that'll question you all the time, like in a positive way, but he's not like nitpicking, but he's definitely asking like gaps in his own knowledge, because he doesn't do like PR stuff ever.
Oh my goodness! I just blanked out. I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What has he hired you for doing?
Okay. Oh God, you're gonna make me put my best friend on blast.
No. This is JD. I'm a huge fan, and I definitely want to connect. So he owns his own plumbing company, right?
So he inherited a 5-star plumbing, which has been in business for like 30, 40 years, right?
Oh, nice.
So his dad had it, his mom ran it, all this stuff, and he finally took over.
He's legacy.
Yeah, he's legacy, and he's doing unbelievably well because he's got great customer service. And I'm not saying it because he's my best friend. It's because he's got a bajillion 5-star reviews on Yelp. Like he just crushes. People love him. Because he doesn't mark up his parts like a ton. He doesn't like, pad the labor costs, all this shit. Like he's a professional. He's got good tools. He has a Mercedes van. Like he shows up. He's reliable. So what was the question again?
The PR thing.
Oh, the PR thing, right.
Obviously, we're going to get JD on the podcast because I haven't had a plumber on. He's legacy.
Oh,
so that would be
funny.
A cool story.
Yeah.
And he's funny.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to have to. This PR thing is paying off, by the way.
So
the only reason he's getting.
Right. So the reason he doesn't want me to unleash the dragon on his service is because he has so much business now, and he's a one-man shop, and it would overwhelm him.
He's one man?
He's one man running the show. So he's doing the booking, he's doing the maintenance, he's doing the parts ordering, he's doing the actual labor, right? I've broken 3 businesses, Oli. I've broken 3 businesses to where I sent them so much traffic, it overwhelmed them.
Nice.
And one guy said, his testimonial about me was, I had to ask Rob to stop because he got me 6 months of orders in a very short time, and I wasn't ready for it. And that dude actually ended up expanding his shop because he'd gotten so much stuff. That was my first like big win, and he wasn't even here. He was on like the East Coast. I just got very lucky. But
was it luck?
It was half and half because I did it right. I wouldn't do anything different from what I did before, but it just was the right combination. Like the stars were aligned, like a Prince song. Like it was just everything was the universe was working and everything was cool. And I just crafted this guy's narrative. I created his angle, and I sent it off to the biggest newspaper in his county, and they took it front page. Then we got him on CBS, and then we got him on this crazy, like, giant cigar board online magazine. And so all these things came together. He started getting more interviews, and he's doing really well.
Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this. We're going to put all your handles. We're going to put the link to what you've been working on so that way people can access it. Of course. And you know what I appreciate? I want to thank you for, like, public relations. To me, I haven't dug in that space. That's not where, you know, my mindset has been at. And you helped clarify the industry for me in regards to what should you be hearing from an expert? How should an expert help you in regards to getting that visibility strategy going? And I think you've given some great questions that people should ask. And it's not for everyone. You got to get to a point where you can hire a public relations, but you also have solutions for that gradual progress, which is, I think that's what I love about Hermosi too, because he's like, hey, you're not all going to be ready for me, but you got to put in the work. And then once you get your company to this point, that's when you're ready for me. But I'll give you all the free stuff.
Yeah.
I'll give you all this stuff. Buy my book, do all this stuff, buy the Audible, learn how to actually do it. And I think that's the biggest thing I would say with entrepreneurs is, like, entrepreneurship is about resiliency. It really is. Because I get hit in the face more times in a day than I can count.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much glory there is in just getting pummeled, but I love it. I freaking love it.
Failure is the greatest teacher of all. Like, I respect the failures more than the successes.
Yeah.
Honestly.